Welcome. I'm Julie Bacon, and you're listening to the Mindset Coaching for Handlers podcast, a podcast for dog handlers who are on a mission to achieve big goals. Here I share lessons, insights, personal stories, and tools you can apply during your next show, trial, or test to help you strengthen your mental game and hopefully cue more consistently. Be sure to check out the show notes where you'll find details about the episodes, plus important links, including the link to the Dogged Planner and Workbook created just for handlers on a mission. So if you're ready to improve your competitive mindset, get out of your own way, and connect with your dog like never before, then it's time to get comfy, bring an open mind, and work your mindset. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. All right, this week we are talking Olympic athletes, okay? And we are talking Olympic athletes because we're about to head into, several months or weeks of that. But also, if you've been watching TV or social or any of those kind of channels, you know that the Olympic trials are going on in all kinds of different sports, whether it's gymnastics, swimming, track and field, et cetera, et cetera. There are many athletes vying for those precious few spots on their country's teams. And so much of that is coming over into social, depending on the social feeds you follow, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm basically obsessed with elite performance in sports, right? And not just the performance itself, though I think that some of them bring me to absolute tears to see just the performance and the winning and just the achieving that life's goal in in a few seconds, right? Sometimes. So I thought I would stare at the TV for you and do your job for you, and so that you didn't have to. And I took away 7 habits that I'm observing from Olympic athletes and also listening to some of their interviews and seeing some of them on social media and so on and so forth. And so I am going to go through 7 habits that I'm seeing that all of us can adopt. Because even though these Olympic athletes, or these hopefuls, I should say, because they're hopeful at the point that I'm watching, they are under such a pressure, right? I mean, some of them, they are only doing their sport for less than a minute, maybe, in order to qualify for their event. And there's precious few slots and one chance, and they have to be able to lay it all down when it matters. And wow, when we talk about pressure, holy shnikes, it's pressure they're putting on themselves, of course, but the external pressure, the expectations, the pressure of their families, many of whom have sacrificed financially for this moment. Can you imagine letting them down and what that means? And are you letting them down? Is it something you did, or did you just get beat that day? Or is there someone just better? Or, did you not perform? I mean, oh my gosh, right? We can go on. And while many of us won't know that level of pressure in dog sports in terms of an external environment or that external expectations, I think we all know what it's like to prepare for an event that is big for us. That's something I stress a lot, that, it doesn't have to be a big event by someone else's measure. It can just be a big event for you, right? Running your first novice dog the first ever time is going to feel massive. Getting to a finals. I've never been in a finals in that kind of caliber, because mostly my finals would have to be agility. And let's recall, I do run Brittany's Mountain Dogs. So my goals are slightly different. But point being, I have felt pressure, but maybe not Olympic level pressure. Yet all of us can learn from what these elite athletes are doing and adopt those things into our day, so that when we are performing, pressure, mindset, that's not what's in our way, right? We only have to worry about, our skills and going out and performing and making a plan and executing the plan, because we trust in our mental abilities. I think several years ago, or for the last Olympics, right, Simone Biles really put a spotlight on, the mental load that some of these athletes are carrying. And that was really good for the whole world to have to see and have to go through and to really understand what it takes. And I think that so often we don't give ourselves enough credit or cut ourselves enough grace for the mental load that it does take to compete. And in our case, we're competing often. Many people are competing every weekend, or they're competing, multiple times, multiple dogs, multiple days, multiple weekends, for multiple months. And it can be very taxing. So what we want to do is put in place some really good habits that will make us stronger, but also allow us to compete at our best, no matter if we are going in the ring sort of casual feeling, or we're going in the ring feeling like, oh my God, I want to really perform well. This is for all the chips. Okay. So here are the 7 habits I have collected, we'll say. The first, of course, is process goals. All right. Even though it is so clear that there is an outcome on the line, right? They have to perform very well this day, this weekend, even this one time in order to make the team. And that is clearly an outcome goal. They are not focused on that. They are focused on their process goals, right? They know that at the end of the day, they can't control whether or not they get on the team, which sounds like a really weird thing to say, but someone could outperform them that day. They're not in control of the other competitors. Some judge could make a funky call that day, or if they're in a partner situation, like the synchronized diving, right? Their partner could have a bad day. So they know that because they have gotten to this level and they have competed time and time again, and they know that there is more to winning, to qualifying, than just the things that they control. So they focus on their process goals. And when you hear them in the interviews afterwards, the reporter will say like, oh, what were you thinking about? And they were thinking, I just knew that I just had to execute my dive, my race. I had to run my race, maybe they'll say, or I just had to think about our plan and stick to our plan. And they'll go back to process goals because those are the things that they can control. And those are the things they know that when they focus on those things, then the rest of it falls into place. So process goals, process goals, process goals, okay? The second thing is the pre-competition rituals and habits. I love watching this, right? Especially runners. You really see it in the way they get in the blocks, the starting blocks, and the mannerisms, that they make. They do the same things, the same stretches, the same, mannerisms to step into the blocks. You see it in all the sports, basically. And we know that we're seeing those just because that's what the camera is showing to us. But we know that behind that was so much more. We know that there's a regimented schedule of how they get up and get ready and get out of their room and to the meet or to the event. And we know that that's not happenstance. Right? We know that like someday, there's no one doing an interview saying, well, I don't know, this morning I just kind of rolled out of bed. I mean, I didn't have my coffee or whatever. There's no haphazardness to this. Okay. They stick to their rituals, those habits. They stick to that structure. And, for us, structure is important, not just only for ourselves, but also for our dogs, right? Our dogs like predictable. They like to know they look for those clues of what's going to happen next. They're constantly reading their pack, right? We're their pack. And so they want to know what's next. And so through that structure, we can provide that sense of security and predictability. Again, not just for ourselves and our own performance, but for our dogs as well. The third thing is music. There's so many athletes with, something. If you see them, most of them have earbuds in, right? They're listening to something. And if maybe they're not listening to something, maybe they're just drowning out everything else. But they have something in their ears that is controlled, right? They are controlling the inputs that are going into their brain before they compete. Now, it could be a secret of what they're listening to, or maybe, it's certain music or what have you, but they are very much in control of that. So if you think about us as we are getting ready to run, sometimes I've been known to walk a course even with my if my phone or back in the day my iPod was dead, I would still put headphones in because I don't want to listen to everybody else and how they're like understanding the course. I want to be focused on how I understand it, right? I don't want to entertain that. So think about what you are taking in. Maybe you don't love to listen to music, and that's okay, but maybe you also need to be very mindful of the other conversations that are happening around you so that you're not taking in everybody else's anxieties or worries about a course or a setup or even a ring setup at the obedience trial or something or whatever. Just kind of walk away and really mind what's going into your ears in that moment and really control that. So music was another one. The fourth one is obviously they have phenomenal focus and concentration. Phenomenal. They for sure have done these events before, but as these trials ramp up, as these events ramp up, so does the crowd noise. For some of them, this is the most crowd noise that they've ever been exposed to, or maybe it's the most TV cameras that they've ever been exposed to. They've earned their spots to qualify for these trials, but yet when you get here, it's another level. And we see that when we watch our own sports on TV or ESPN or the AKC TV channel or something like that. We see like an agility, a big event or something like that. And suddenly there's a reporter asking you questions, or there's the box that you're getting on and getting on before and after you run or something like that. That's very different. So there's a lot of different things that are happening, and yet these athletes are able to focus and concentrate on their task at hand and not get sort of taken away or distracted by how different the event might be running or the crowd noise or different things that could be happening to them. And that focus and concentration takes practice. I've in the membership, I've dedicated whole months to kind of this sort of thing. And then also last month in June, and then of course my new course, which is like a focus on mental toughness and grit, we spent a whole week on developing concentration and focus, because we need to be able to not only tune the rest of the world out, but we need to be able to focus for longer and longer periods of time. If you're running agility, you might be in the ring for less than a minute, but if you're running obedience, you might be in the ring for more than 5. And can you concentrate and hold that concentration for that amount of time? It really matters. Okay, I've got a few more for you. Hang on. Quick question. Do you ever wish you had more mindset help? Well, the Q membership was created just for that reason. Every month we pick a topic, and then we have 4 lessons, which are kind of like these podcasts, that we dive deeper into. And so if you are ready for more, you're ready for more mindset work, think about joining the Q membership. Annual members get a free coaching session, but you can also choose the monthly option as well. Go to theqcoach.com to learn more. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, 3 more in my list of things that I have compiled from the elite Olympic athletes, or Olympic hopefuls, I should say. All right, the next one is mental toughness and grit. I mean, the determination is obviously incredible, but when you think about the grit aspect of this, grit is really, are you loyal to your goal over time? Right? Mental toughness is a lot about, can you bounce back? Can you come back from setback or from a bad run and be able to, you get your mind back and reframe and get back in the ring and clear your head. And they obviously have that sort of grace and that determination, but the grit really speaks to determination and perseverance over time, right? So, and when you think about, some of these people this might be their 3rd Olympics, whether it's their 3rd Olympic trials, or maybe it's their 3rd time getting on the team. That's like 12 years. And yes, COVID throws the math off a little bit there, but 12 years being focused on the same goal, winning an Olympic gold medal. One goal for that marathon. And before there was that marathon for them, maybe they were a kid with posters in their room dreaming of having the opportunity. So when we talk about grit, we talk about loyalty and perseverance toward a goal. Are you able to stick with it even when the going is hard? even when there's injuries or you're coming back from a rehab or something's not going your way? Are you still able to stick with it? And like I said, I just dropped a class on this, but when we just did a month, the members got to preview the class in the membership in June. So if you want to get into mental toughness and grit more so, go check it out. And Clean Run will be having it in the next couple months or whatever. But these people are so mentally tough and so gritty. It just gives me goosebumps. All right. Number 6 is journaling. I saw this really great TikTok of this woman who was, I think she's track and field, and she was showing her journal for the evening. So her habit is that every night when she's back in her room, she is journaling out some things. And it was cool because it was, some of it was like normal handwriting. Some of it was real big. Some of it had stars and, circles and all this kind of stuff. And it really, you could tell, was a stream of consciousness. And one of the things that was all in real big letters was, "I'm still here," and so you could tell she was dumping, some of her thoughts for the day. And some of it was she was giving herself a pep talk and reminding her that she deserved to be here. And some of it was process goals you could see, just reminders of her in terms of her performance and what she needed to work on. And some of it was, how she did and some observations over the day, what went well, what didn't go well, things like that. And it just was really cool of like the practice, because as I've talked about in journaling, I know everybody resists because they think, I don't know what they think. They think I'm going to tie you to a chair with a composition notebook and not let you up until you've like filled out every page. Like, it's not true. Even writing down like a couple words, like literal words, syllables, just a few syllables at the end of a day can really give you a sense of like how your day went and what you need to work on next week or even this coming week when you go to class. So making a few notes is really going to be helpful because you can really start to watch your progress. You can really celebrate your progress, but you also can just have a finer eye on it. And trust me, all the best handlers are doing that. When I talk to a really great handler, they are journaling. They are really writing it down, making notes and making adjustments all along the way. And finally, one of my favorite things, number 7, is they're happy for others. In some of these events, only one person advances and only one person gets the slot. In other events, the top 3 or the top 2, it's all different depending on the sport, of course. But they are celebrating with the other person. And maybe for one of those people, it's a complete heartbreak, but they're still happy for the person who's going. Because it's a unique situation and that the person who's going is representing the country. And in so many cases, these men and women have been traveling together, right? Going to similar meets, competing with each other or against each other over and over again. This is not the first time they've ever laid eyes on each other in most cases. And they're just the celebration for other people and being happy for other people is amazing. And I think that we can do that in our sport. Some people might be like, oh, I can't do, I think we can. I think we can do a great job of really holding other people up. There are plenty of green ribbons to go around. We can be happy. We can, as the saying goes, straighten another's crown without pointing out that it was crooked. We just can do a better job of holding each other up. So those are my 7 lessons learned in being just a complete raving fan, of Olympic athletes. So to review, process goals, of course, over outcome goals. They stick to their pre-competition rituals and habits. They're using music regularly. They have phenomenal focus and concentration, of course. They are mentally tough and gritty. They are journaling for success, and they are happy for others. So I think we can all learn from that. I think we can all learn from celebrating, from just all the takeaways. And I'm not going to make you be a sports fan, but I would love for you to like pick a sport or pick a couple athletes or pick something and like kind of follow them and follow their journey and see what it is that you pick up that is maybe has nothing to do with their sport, right? That that those athletes, if you took one of those athletes from track and field and you dropped them in the pool, presuming they could swim and all that kind of stuff, they would figure out how to get good at swimming because they have all the skills and the effort and they know how to get good at something. We don't just get good at something through the skills that we need to do the thing, right? In our case, run dogs, right? We don't just get good at something by learning how to heel perfectly or teach a dog to heel, right? Or teach a dog to jump or, teach those things. If that were true, then there would be a lot more people like successful at the highest levels and people wouldn't choke, right? There'd be no such things as choking in the finals or, messing up or forgetting the course or anything because it would all be just skills, right? Well, we know darn well that that's not all it is. There's so much mental game in this, and watching these Olympic athletes, they have learned how to be successful. They have learned how to apply effort in the direction of their dreams. And they could do that even if you switch sports on them, right? Now, they have a particular talent, so the talent makes it easier. They're not going against their talent. They're going with their talent. But all of us have a certain amount of talent for dogs or we wouldn't be into it in the beginning, right? We know how to train a dog. We know how to work with dogs and we're getting better at it every day. We all have a certain bent toward it, right? I don't play the piano because I have no interest, right, in it. So we all have kind of self-selected into these sports, and with effort, with perseverance, with determination and applying ourselves and pushing, we are always going to get better. So I don't know, pick a sport, pick an athlete, somebody to follow, get inspired, get motivated. I just think it's a heck of a time of year. Of course, I'm being a total fangirl right now. But I do really firmly believe that there's so much to be learned by the mental game of watching these athletes. I think we get better when we look up, right? We look up toward people who are, better, whether they're at a totally different sport, right? I have no desire to learn how to do the butterfly stroke, right? But I still can learn from them. So inspiration is all around us. It's all around us at our at trials, at our local trials. It's all around us, even on Facebook, watching trainers that maybe are on a whole different coast from us or walking other, competitors on a whole different coast. And, we, with the power of social and, videos and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, we do have more access and can be inspired and motivated by these people. So always be looking up, always be looking around to the habits of other people that you can emulate. And I don't know, I hope you get inspired. It's very inspiring to me, obviously. So, all right. Well, no matter what you're up to this week, I hope you have a fantastic week with your dogs. Thanks so much for listening to the Mindset Coaching for Handlers podcast with me, Julie Bacon. I am so grateful for your precious time. Check out my Dogged Planner, workbook, and journal available on Amazon. Just search for Dogged Planner. I also offer monthly membership that's perfect for ongoing support of your awesome goals. Check out theqcoach.com for details or just stop by and check out all the ways you can work on your mindset. And be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at theqcoach and let me know how it's going. Finally, please share, subscribe, and leave a review. This helps us podcasters tremendously. Plus, I know I get my best podcast recommendations from friends. Thanks and have a great week with your dogs.